Well, everyone, we're so excited to have you back for another episode of the Raise Your Bars podcast with myself, Albert Tan. I'm here with my good friend Chris Baker. Chris, how's life in Florida? Did you get any of this hurricane that's coming through? Or are you okay?
We did not. No, it went through the Caribbean and up through the Gulf and hit Texas. So
Right.
no, for we missed that completely, which is good for us, not so good for Texas. But
Not so good for Texas. I
yeah,
saw some pretty scary footage from Mexico today too.
yeah,
Um, about flooding and trees down and power lines down and stuff. So it's pretty scary. So just hope everybody there is okay. Hey, we've been doing we did a series, and this is our second series in a row here. We're
mhm,
talking about we've been talking about the little differences between failure and success. And this is from John Maxwell's book Failing Forward. And the first episode, if you haven't done it, go back 3 episodes, and we got the power of persistence was the first one, and we about finding a purpose in life. And then we talked the next one about eliminating excuses. And
mhm.
then last week we talked about, incentives and developing some. And the last step that we're talking about today is determination and how we need to cultivate it.
Yeah.
And when I mention determination to you, what's the first thing that pops into your mind?
Gosh, well, I think it's keeping going through adversity, right? It's that will to succeed, whether you call it willpower or whatever, but it's just keeping going through adversity. Because we know that when you are stretching yourself, when you're going for higher goals, it's not all going to be smooth sailing. And I know through my past, I think back to even my childhood, and if I was doing something, but it didn't mean enough to me, when I found things getting a bit tough, I would quit and I'd go do something else, right? But if
Right.
something really meant something to me, and like now, when things mean something to me, I'm determined to succeed, right? Nothing is going to stop me.
Right.
And again, I think back to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and we talk about that white hot burning desire, right? Where you sort of like run through a brick wall to get what it is that you're looking to get. That to me is determination.
Yeah. He also uses the example in Think and Grow Rich, burning the ships, right? Like
Yeah,
burning the ships. When there
right.
is no retreat. We're taking the ground. We're burning the ships. There's no way we can return. It's either forward or death, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's go forward. And I even
yeah.
think back when you're talking about this, I remember a thought came to mind. So this would be during COVID. It was probably around Christmas time. I would say December 2020, and I probably told you this story before, but I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast. And I was sitting beside my wife on the couch. Business, like my leadership development, training development business was horrible. Nothing was happening. Nobody was doing anything because of COVID. And I said, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
Like, and all this energy and all this effort and all this money, because even though I
Mhm.
didn't have income, I still had outflow for business expenses,
Right.
website and some materials and subscriptions that I had to honor, payments I need to honor with that. And I'm putting all this money out of my own pocket. And I'm looking at my wife and I said, why am I even doing this? Why don't I just quit? And she looked at
Mhm.
me, she goes, it's up to you, right? It's
Right.
it's your choice. And about 5 minutes later, I'm like, "Nah, why would I quit?" And here's the thing, Chris, if I had quit, because in 2021, the government of our province was handing out every government was handing out money like crazy, but they were handing out money grants for companies to train and develop their teams during COVID. Take this
Yeah.
opportunity to train and develop their teams. And that year, I did $180,000 in sales in my business. If I had given up in December and
Right.
said, "Forget it, I'm not gonna do this anymore," then I would have missed out less than a month later, 3 feet from gold, another thing that
Yep.
Napoleon
Yep.
Hill meant, right? I was 3 feet from gold. If I'd given up, I
Mhm.
would have missed that opportunity. Another company would have gotten that training and development dollars.
Yeah.
I didn't give up. I got those training and development dollars.
So let me ask you this then, right? So you had that Marge said to you, well, it's your choice, right? You can give up if you want to. And you said it was 5 minutes and you were like, no, why didn't you?
Didn't I?
What what kept you
Determination,
going?
man. No, here's the thing.
But determination for what, right? Why did you want to keep going? Why did it mean so much to you?
So here's where I get conflicted. So on the DISC personality style profile, I'm an IS. Okay. So a little bit more people oriented, not very
Mhm,
task driven and stuff like that. But yet, I don't give up, right? There's just something within me that rose up during that moment, those few minutes of me
mhm,
contemplating my future in the leadership and training and development business after literally tens and tens of thousands of dollars invested over the years. Something rose up within me in that moment to say, "No, this is stupid. Why would I quit now?" And it's just I don't know, there's always been an entrepreneurial spirit within me. Even though I spent my entire career working for somebody else, I always took ownership of the places that I managed. Like, I
mm,
retail management, my career, I've always said this is my store. I've always called things my store. And in fact,
yeah,
the last company I worked for 12 years, I managed the store and built it from the minute it opened in a new location, and we took the sales and we quadrupled the sales over 12 years and built the team and expanded the store. I knew I had won. I'll say won when at our annual general meeting one year, because this was a cooperative, so it's locally owned by all we have local members that own the cooperative, and they get a share of the profits back to them in dividends every year. When the board of directors, the president of the board of directors standing up at our annual general meeting about 5 or 6 years ago, and they were going through, and our food stores did this, and our fuel stations did this, and Al's store did that. He called it Al's store. Not my store, but I always took ownership of things. Yeah, I had that
yeah,
entrepreneurial spirit. And like I said, December 2020, could have quit 3 feet from gold. I knew I couldn't. And we had been through so much together, you and I. In
mhm,
fact, doing a year-long intensive study of the book Think and Grow Rich. And one of the chapters in there is on persistence, not giving up.
right,
And I was about to give up and
yeah,
throw it all away. And man, I'm grateful. I'm so glad that whatever was in me rose up in that moment to say,
right,
"Don't quit." I didn't, because look at us today. We're 2024. We're doing this podcast. We have like really good traction on the podcast. We've got ourselves some clients. We've
yeah,
developed this program. Well, we may not even be connected anymore if we didn't do this.
true, true. But I think so. This is this is like a coaching and a therapy session, right? And we didn't know this was going to be this way, but I'm just interested because let's be honest, you don't do this for the money, right? The money is nice and the money comes and it helps you and whatever, but that's
Right.
not your motivation, right? And you talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, you talk about, making things right. Why is that important to you, right? What is it that gives you the satisfaction about what you do with coaching and developing others?
I love seeing the light bulb moment on people
Okay.
when they get it. When they understand their emotional intelligence now, and they can work towards growing in areas that are maybe blind spots to them, when they understand the disc model of human behavior, and they
Mhm.
see how now as a team they can be more cohesive and achieve greater things together. As a coaching client, or as a coach, seeing my clients hit one of their goals, and just the excitement in their voice, or that the light in their eyes, that when they're so excited about reaching that goal or that next milestone in their career or their life. Those things excite me. I've always said I wanted to be an encourager of others. And I think everything we do with our training, everything I do here in Canada with the training, I think I'm encouraging others and helping them reach their fullest potential. And my business model, Chris, because we both have our own businesses and then our co-company here together, but my business model is always, it has been to unselfishly seek the best or higher good for others. So
Right.
you're right. The money's nice, but we've always said that we aren't doing this for the money. We're doing it to
No,
help people. The money will be the byproduct of helping
correct.
people reach their fullest potential, or in the
Exactly.
bars method, helping business owners increase their profit.
So what you've just described is determination, right? And what you've described is a perfect description of an IS style, right?
Yep.
Because that is all about helping people,
Yeah.
right? The S is caring for people and wanting them to all be basically happy, right? And develop. And the I is helping make it fun and entertaining for people, right? So so the fact that you don't give in, yes, you're channeling your D and your C, right, to do that, but it's driven by your I and your S, and it's driven by your desire to make a difference to people, right?
Right.
And so that's the determination that keeps you going. Because if it was just the thought of missing out on that $180,000, you can go and earn money doing anything,
Anything.
right?
Yep.
But if
Yep.
it doesn't mean enough to you, you're not going to be determined to see it through.
Right.
Right, but what you've described is that's what means things to you. That's why you were determined to see it through. You may not have realized it, but it's coming from within. And that's what we want to help people to see, right? And to identify for themselves is what truly makes them happy, what gives them that fulfillment and that satisfaction and that joy that it because to be honest, even if you weren't being paid for this, you would still do it, right? We're not
100%.
being
Yeah,
paid
I
for this
love it.
podcast, but we show
No.
up every week
Yeah.
because we love it. And if it makes a difference to one person,
It's
then
worth
that
it.
gives us satisfaction and joy, right? And that's the determination to keep going.
Yeah. Here's a quote from the book, and it's actually John quoting Napoleon Hill, and it actually ties in well with this as we'll segue a little bit to a few of the quotes here,
Yeah.
but it says effort only fully releases its reward after a person refuses to quit.
Mhm.
Let me read that again. Effort only
Yeah.
releases its reward after a person refuses to quit. We've been doing this podcast for what, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years, 2.5 years,
Yeah.
right? We're not quitting. No plans to quit. I didn't quit in 2020.
No, but and that's what I mean. If this didn't mean enough to us, if we weren't doing it for to fulfill our purpose, we would quit, right?
Exactly. But because we're doing this with a purpose, on purpose, for our purpose. Like Chris and I have spent many an hour talking
Yeah.
about this. We believe, we truly believe we're here to do this. This is why we're on this planet right now.
Right.
We're here to do this because it would
Yeah.
be very easy to quit
Yeah.
and just go watch TV. But I
Yeah.
think so many people do that, right?
Mhm.
They hit that wall, they get stuck, they get frustrated, they get discouraged, and then they settle and they
Correct. It's
get
easy.
stuck.
It's easy to do that, you know, and I look back in in my past. I look back in the last few weeks, if honest about it, and it would be so easy to settle for an easy life and just say, "I'm going to do this," but I don't because I have and you know I discovered my purpose. We've talked about it. They're aligned, right? Which is why
Mhm.
we get on so well together. But I want to develop other people. I want to be an influencer. I want to make an impact on people's lives. I want to create a legacy that will exist long after I'm gone. All
Right.
right. Now we've both said
Agreed.
we've got more years behind us than we've got in front of us now,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean that we can't make a difference in that time. And so that is the thing that drives me and keeps me going. And you know, at Disney, I'm moving to a different job next week, which is paying me exactly the same money. Right. I'm probably going to have to work harder than I could have been doing, but I'm
However,
doing it because it fulfills my purpose and passion. Right. And so
absolutely.
if you don't know what that is, and most people don't, unfortunately, right? Which is why we've talked about finding your why and what's your purpose and passion, what's your fulfillment, what's your desire, and then helping people to do it. If they don't know it, they settle. And it's not necessarily an intentional settle, it's a default settle,
Yeah.
right?
It's like I think there's definitely a group of people out there that choose, you know what, I'm just gonna coast through life and that's fine. And if you're content doing that, more power to you. I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Then I think there's a group of people that desire more, but just don't really know what the next step is or what they should do to really
Right.
discover and live and walk in their true purpose. And
Mhm.
then there's a group of people that, you know what, I'm not giving up no matter what. Come
Yeah.
hell or high water, I'm pushing forward.
Yeah. And I know we're like a little bit of a teaser. We're talking about doing a future series on Bob Proctor's like Change Your Paradigm, right? And one of the things that's in there is about these ABC goals. You know, I'm really excited to chat with you about that and to share that with our audience and any of our people, anyone that wants to listen. To be honest, because a lot of people will set goals that are too easy to achieve, right? And they're too finite. And that's not what we're talking about with determination. Determination is setting those huge goals, those
Yeah,
big, scary, audacious goals that
yeah,
maybe most people think are unachievable. And that's that thing in the distance that we may never get there. But the success is on the journey, right? The fulfillment
right,
is on the journey and those stepping stones along the way. Now, you do need goals that you are going to achieve. You know, we talk about that in ghost goals and so on,
right,
but they should be goals that you achieve it. And then it's what next? What next? What next? All the time. And you're moving forward, whether you're inching forward, striding forward, but you're aiming towards a vision that is maybe over the horizon, but go for it. Right.
right.
That's the
Well,
determination. And probably 1 to 5% of the population have got that,
mhm, I would
right?
agree.
1 to 5%. However,
And
with a population of 8 billion people, 1 to 5% is still a lot of people.
absolutely, very, yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
And I think Chris, Chris and I talked about this before we went live, but one of our, what's the big hairy audacious goals we have is that
yeah,
bars would be a worldwide recognized brand.
yeah,
Right? Our bars
yeah,
method, our program, the Raise Your Bars would be worldwide recognized. And we know it's good. We're not just saying that because we created it. We spent a lot of time and effort and testing on this that we know it works and we know it's good if people apply what we teach them. And again,
yeah,
that's everything in life, right? If you're learning
right,
something, if you're reading a book, folks, and it tells you how to get from step A to step B, then start applying and doing the steps you need to take to get there. If you
mhm,
just read the book and then put it back on the shelf, it's been just a waste of time. You might as well watch
right,
Netflix.
yeah. And I think, you know, we can relate determination back to Basel, right? Because most people will maybe set a goal or they're looking for a certain result. They believe that X whatever thing it is the success, right? And they start working towards it. And when times get hard, what they do is is they maybe lower that goal, right? And they change that, right? They change their goal, they lower that goal so they can achieve it. What Bars is talking about is listen, what you got to do is look inward. What are the behaviors and the actions that you need to do every day that will deliver the results and success you're looking for? So if you're striving for a certain result and a certain level of success and you're not achieving it, doesn't mean the goal is wrong, means what you're doing every day is wrong. So look at yourself and say, what am I doing? And what do I need to change in my daily behaviors and actions that will then elevate my performance to get the results and success that I'm looking at?
Yeah,
And that's an ongoing thing, right? You can't just say, oh, I need to do this and this every day and I'm going to achieve that. Well, things change,
absolutely.
right? Circumstances change, you change, right? And so you may start off doing one or two particular things, but as you master those, guess what? You got to elevate them. And then as you master those, you elevate that again. And then eventually you'll be moving towards your results and success you're looking for. And I say moving towards because once you start elevating your performance, you'll probably raise your goals as well.
I have over the years for sure.
Right.
Right.
So
Hey, so sorry, do you want to
no,
add
I was
something there?
this it's just it's exciting this,
It is
and
exciting.
I always
So
say to people again, we don't plan what we're going to talk about,
no, we
right?
grab
Like
a few
how
things,
did
so grab a few quotes from a book, and then we just go, right? But I only
right
read one quote from the book so far.
right, but you didn't know that we were going to start talking about what changed your mindset in 20 December 2020 to actually decide whether you were going to quit or not, right?
I didn't know I was gonna get a free coaching session tonight, so that's a
So,
bonus too. Hey, so here's something from the book as we wrap up, okay? He said, um, learn to become a determined individual. Inspire yourself with stories of people who tried, failed, and kept going. So, folks, for you, those of you that may have been struggling, you're frustrated, you're discouraged with where you're at right now, and you're thinking about giving up, just listen to this. I'm going to give you three stats or three stories. John Creasy received 743 rejection slips from publishers before one word was ever published. He eventually published 560 books, which have sold more than 60 million copies. What would have happened? Eddie Arcaro lost 250 consecutive races before he won his first. Albert Einstein, Edgar Allan Poe, and John Shelley were all expelled from school for being mentally slow. John
yeah,
says, remember, the only difference between a little shot and a big shot is that the big shot kept shooting.
yeah,
Guess what? Everybody experiences failure. Everybody has setbacks. The ones that
yeah,
succeed are the ones that get back up and push forward again, learn from their
correct.
mistake, re enter, and push forward.
Hmm.
So if you're thinking about giving up right now, don't.
Well, so let's expand on that a little bit. I know we're at the end of this, but let's just do that, and then we can let people think it, because this is maybe the challenge, right, Al?
Yeah.
If you are working towards something, right, and you're thinking of giving up, you want to ask yourself what what really means, what does achieving that thing that I'm aiming for, what would it mean to me if
Mhm.
I achieved it?
Mhm.
Right? What
Good.
difference would it make to me? What difference would it make to other people? What difference would it make to my life, my family's life? And if you can't answer it in the fact that it would make a difference, then yeah, quit, right? And find something that you do want to strive for, that you are passionate about, that will make a
Difference.
difference,
Yeah,
and then start looking and saying, what are the behaviors and actions that I need to do every day to achieve that, or start working towards that, right? That will give you the determination. That's your
absolutely.
challenge.
There you go. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We went a little bit longer than normal today, but I hope you got some value out of this. And please, again, share this with family, friends, coworkers. We would sincerely appreciate that. Reach out to us on social media, and we'll see you next time.